See, testing. See, testing. Alright, now it just started. Alright, whoever's tuning in, I don't know who just jumped in. Sorry for that. Just setting up a live stream. This is TRN Network. And just having a friendly Sunday night stream. Just talk about random subjects. And we're going to take the first one of the Groypers. Let's get you into that for a moment. Let's start with the whole situation with. Ooh, how I spell Groyper? Oh. Let's see. Let's show you the clips.
Charlie, welcome to the best state in the Union, Ohio. Hey. The Ohio State University. So my question is, if the president were to enact a policy that would completely benefit the United States and her citizens, but to the detriment of Israel, would you support it, yes or no?
Well, that's a false choice. Thank you for being here. I get a lot of questions about Israel.
First of all, that's not a false choice. That's a legit question. The whole Groyper thing is basically after Nick Fuentes, a known YouTube live streamer, technically alt-right, was at a Politicon event, invited, attempted to, speak with the TSUSA, TPUSA members, and they kind of barred him out. So, mostly because he's a anti-Semite, and they're asking him questions legit relevant to the state of Israel and our business with our, pretty much with our, how our money don't, I'm pretty sure you guys know, but let's just continue to watch.
Israel in the last week. I will not apologize for my defense of our greatest ally in the Middle East. I will not apologize.
Not the greatest ally.
For the fact that I defend Israel against its critics both domestically and abroad. And I'm always just very puzzled at times when I get the amount of attention that is on the only democracy in the Middle East, the only place where all three monotheistic religions are allowed to peacefully visit their religious sites, the place that has respect for human rights.
Those are all blatant lies. Israel is known for tremendous war crimes, especially against Palestinians, and they also do crimes against Christians. It's just not wide scale. It's not widely reported. Let's continue.
The place that the Knesset has representation for all three monotheistic religions, something that does not exist all throughout the Middle East.
Not to mention the only pro-gay place in the Middle East, by the way.
Yeah, so Rob, let's talk about that. How would most Middle Eastern...
2% of the population, 40% of, rape. I'm not surprised if, an Israeli or a person of Jewish descent is more likely to be gay. There's a huge swath population in Israel near Tel Aviv. That's a huge gay community, and they seem to be rustling feathers within Israel themselves because they're very left wing and open borders and all that shit on top of the gays here.
Countries treat you if they found out you were gay?
Let's see. They can be like Iran and they can force.
First of all, he's black. They'll secretly sterilize him.
Force gay men to transition into women. They can be like other places in the Middle East where they stone gays to death in the streets and they throw us off.
Mic off.
And these are very real things that can
Mic on.
happen.
Makes gay black
and so when I
Mic
hear
off.
those criticisms of being pro-Israel that are coming from the left, that's really shocking to me. And this is why I call it the intersectionality cult, and this is why I say that intersectionality makes zero sense, because you have so many criticisms coming to Israel from the left, and Israel is the most pro-gay place in the Middle East. It is the only place where gays can be, it is the only place where gays can be open to be who they are without fear of being murdered for their sexual orientation.
And then to just answer your...
Mic on.
That's a lie, too. They don't have to go to certain neighborhoods. Most of the Orthodox Jews despise these people.
However,
Mic off.
Israel and Rob, can you second this? They helped you when you were a veteran in Iraq with intelligence, supply lines, medical assistance.
Absolutely.
When you were there. And so they stood side by side our efforts. And look, I was against the Iraq war, but I am glad that they helped.
That's
Mic on.
probably a lie, and you'll be solely down to have us go in to intervene in Syria just for the Israelis. Go fuck yourself, Kirk.
When our servicemen and women went overseas there. And so I'm answering your, unlikely hypothetical with that answer.
Word for Stormtrooper, this guy provides this video.
I wish that the amount of attention on college campuses, there was 1/10 of percent of the attention on other countries in the Middle East that Israel seems to always get, the only democracy, the only free enterprise country, and the country that most supports values that are closest to America. So
yes.
Thank you so much for your question. We appreciate you being here tonight. So thank you so much.
Much
Be quick, straight to the
I will. Somebody outside a protester was asking about the term culture war. It's got a long history, started late 1800s, Otto von Bismarck, Kulturkampf. In the late 1990s, mid-1990s, it was reclaimed by conservatives. One of those being E. Michael Jones, who actually started this magazine, Culture Wars magazine, and because of his fantastic work, we now understand. Thank you. Give it up. Because of E. Michael Jones' groundbreaking work, we now understand that sexual liberation is political control. It's a form of political control. And
Sorry, I had to pause. I was trying to unmute my mic. But this man brings up a great point. Sexual revolution and sexual libertarianism or liberation is a form of political control because now they can control the women, they can control certain aspects, and you see what they do with the gay community and how to interfere with local, regional, and countries' politics. So, this man's legit question is I had to interrupt that one.
you have multiple times advocated on behalf of accepting homosexuality, accepting homosexual acts as normative in the conservative movement. How does anal sex help us win the culture war?
Seriously, when all of a sudden these neocons came so left-wing, it's retarded. Oh, no, they're basically like, yeah. We're not for open immigration and illegals, but let's flood this country with legal immigrants, though. Totally millions of unskilled workers that only, deflate our wages and destroy our culture, us culture, and they will never vote in way that you believe in, Kirk. But you're just placing all of the Americans here, and especially white Americans here, which is the most of the tax dollar here that makes the revenue of this country, especially white women.
I'm going to let the gay man answer.
Wait a minute. So can I ask you a question? Can you have the balls to ask the gay man on the stage that question and don't defer to him? Ask me that question. I will answer you that question.
I'm
going to answer you. You already asked the question, so I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to ask you that question. This is America. This is the greatest freaking nation in the world. We realize that America is great because we have Western values. We realize that. No, let me finish.
Yeah, we got freedom of speech, so he wants to call you out. So don't get fucking butthurt when he calls you white. You taking it in the ass benefits anybody.
Dude, we realize that gays and lesbians are able to contribute to American society in the same way that everybody else is. And let me tell you, when you continue doing that, okay, you realize that we are here. We are able to do everything. And let me tell you something as well. I served in the military, right? I served 5 years. I did
Probably
Iraq.
the Navy.
What's up?
How does homosexual sex help us win the culture war?
Who said homosexual sex helps you win the culture war?
That is the question that I'm asking. Why are you promoting it?
Well, it's a BS question, and you know it is. It's a question that is not it's not a good faith question.
So I'm
it's
going
not
to
a
be
good faith
honest.
question.
Rob, honestly, I don't care what two consenting adults do. So that's
the whole thing.
And your hyper focus on it is kind of weird. Thanks for being
you
here.
seem to be really interested in gay sex. I'm pretty sure if you're into that, you can go find somebody to do it with. I don't know, maybe. Next question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
You're the biggest cowards.
Mr. Kerr.
And wait a minute, this is my first culture war, so I want to say that I have to make a statement, and I'm not here to tell anybody what to think or what to believe, but for me, somebody like that doesn't really have any place in the conservative movement because it's something that is so behind the times. And you can boo and you can do whatever you want to, baby, because I'm going to be me, and I'm still here.
Next question.
What's the question?
My question is largely directed to Mr. Kirk because you were raised as a conservative. Part of the issue I see here is, what's your name, Rob?
Yeah.
So you're saying, oh, you're behind the times, this isn't conservative. Well, we don't want centrists in the conservative movement. We want to retain our core values.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
We don't want drag
But here's the thing. It's not about what you want, because here's the thing. The beauty about social media.
No, that's not how it works. That's what
media,
the people want. This is the uppity nigger faggotry that this guy and the left keeps promoting. These are just Foxers, liberals, just neoliberals disguised as conservatives try to bait people into this stupid shit and corrupting other parties, aka Zionists in disguise.
Is that I can be me and I can bring myself to the table. And it's not about what you want, it's about what the people want. And if there are enough people in this movement that say, hey, Rob is cool, he's gay, whatever, it really doesn't matter what you think. You can say whatever you want and you can believe whatever you want to believe. But it's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. And it's not going to deplatform me.
So my question is, again, it's directed to Mr. Kirk because he was raised as a conservative. As the guy before has said, you've advocated for homosexuality, said that there's a place for the gay agenda within the conservative movement. My question is, and you're also comfortable with transgenders and cross-dressers, I understand. So my question is there any point where conservatives should take a moral stance on Christian morality, or should we abandon it altogether? So in other words, what is TPUSA's, what is your brand of conservatism doing to actually conserve?
It's literally fucking neoliberalism. It's Zionist, well, actually it's not neoliberal, it's a Zionist agenda that totally corrupt our countries and take total control of both parties. They're just making it obvious and out in the point. And now, it's kind of funny because now these guys used to be brought like, oh yeah, pro free speech, but when students who start questioning their Zionist agenda, they start freaking the fuck out as you can see this video continues.
Christian morality. If we're ceding to the left on transgender, gay rights, gay marriage, we don't want that in conservatism.
So you don't want him in the conservative movement? I just want to be very clear. Let's just be. Rob,
so you don't want me in the movement?
No. Hold on a sec. I want to be very clear. Hold on a sec. You're bringing some very charged language. I'm going to try to calm down the temperature in the room, so I can try to rationally understand an irrational position. Why should we Let me finish. Let me finish. So, I'm a Christian. I believe the Bible is the greatest book ever to exist in the history of the world, and I believe Rob Smith has decency and dignity as an individual in the United States of America. Hold on a second. We're not a theocracy. We never have been.
And you know what? And wait a minute. Let me hop in here. Hold on, because I'm in it. He's addressing me. The thing.
Well, the gays shouldn't be in the right wing, let alone the conservatives. It's kind of funny because they don't, not exactly conservative at all.
The thing that I don't understand, well, I'm addressing you. How about that?
You don't even have the courage to address the gay man on stage.
So the problem that I have with, as somebody that is a gay Christian, and this is the problem that I have, because my relationship with God and coming back into the church over the past year and a half is one of the greatest gifts that has been given to me in terms of being in this movement. So my question to everybody who tries to say that, oh, you shouldn't be, Christian because you're gay. Why are you trying to turn people away from God? So if you love God,
if you love God, you realize you won't be a faggot. Let's continue.
Christianity is so right because I do love God. So why would you be trying to turn me away? Why would you be trying to turn me away from God?
So we're going to get to
another thing, and one thing that I don't
do,
and one thing that I don't do is that there is no man that is of this earth that is going to tell me what God has for me and how much God loves me. So goodbye. Thank you for your question.
Holy shit, that was homophobic. Sorry about that, Rob.
Don't ever apologize for ignorance, dude.
Well, I'm not a conservative, so this is probably something you're going to have to get used to.
Before you answer your question, this is the first time we've gotten that kind of flow whatever the heck that was. So continue.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau population projections, in 2045,
Demographic
whites will
change.
account
This
for
is the
less
big
than
one.
50%
They
of the
think
population in the
their
United States.
views will
Given
survive
that
with
the
this
Democratic Party's policies do
demographic
not point
shift in
towards
the
the
United
maintaining
States
of our
and the
American
West in
ideals,
general.
and given the most groups other than whites overwhelmingly vote Democrat, how can we be sure that said American ideals will be maintained when millions of immigrants come in with majority Democratic support? Can you prove that our white European ideals can be maintained if the country's majority
Not
is
so
no
much
longer made
Democrat
up of
support,
white European
but far
descendants?
left is socialism.
If
Just total destruction.
If
All right.
not, should we
I'm
support
not
mass
applauding,
legal
let me
immigration?
finish. Okay, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. All right, let me answer, I guess, your question with my perspective. I've been asked this a couple times in the last week and a half. Let me tell you my stance on immigration, and I'm going to tell you where I think you go terribly wrong with your question, okay? I think that we should embrace Senator Tom Cotton's RAISE Act, which is to lower the amount of legal immigrants into our country, but increase the merit base that we let people to come into our country. End the visa lottery, end chain migration, make English the official language of the United States, build the southern border, and restrict the amount of flow of border jumping and line cutting to come into our country. But I'm always perplexed by this argument that I'm always interested by this argument, like, oh, how are we going to maintain our white status? So let's play out that racist idea, and all of a sudden we let a bunch of French people in our country. No,
I don't.
Let's play that idea. We let a bunch of German.
The fact they can't answer the question, they dodge it with some non-racial, groups that are not technically a different race.
That somehow race and ideology are intertwined together. President Donald Trump has been wrongly accused of being a racist president. Do you know that President Donald Trump received more support in the Latino and the black community than John McCain and Mitt Romney?
Combined.
I will also say that it is a failure of the conservative movement to not be able to communicate to communities in the black community, which I believe the black community is an inherently conservative community.
How about some important more and just keep the native ones around? They will be fine, like the original ones that sent from slaves, the West Africans. That would make sense, but anyone else, no.
That, oh, how are we going to keep the white status of this? I find that to be a racist question. I reject the idea behind it.
You're such a pussy,
Kirk.
Kirk.
America
Jesus Christ,
should
man.
become a white
Charlie Kirk
ethno-state
can't not answer a fucking question.
I think that is a fringe perspective. I appreciate you being here, and I'm going to rationally push back against it every single time I come in contact with it. Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Okay, sure.
And can I just say, I'm always like cutting in. So there's this idea that with America and our history, America is an imperfect place that keeps on getting better, I think. But there's this idea that all of our values are inherently white, or there's this idea that the conservative movement right now, and the conservative movement that I'm a part of, is black, it's Latino, it's white. It's so many people that have the same inherent ideas, and we come together.
They don't.
With these differences, because we all believe in the power and beauty of America.
Just look at the voting
we all
record.
believe that patriotism and nationalism is a good thing. These are not things that are specific
black
to
and
a skin color, or an ethnicity, or a nationality, or religion, or a background, or anything else. And that is the world that I'm trying to push forward. That is the world that I believe that we live in. That is the movement that we are living in right now. So the idea that if America somehow becomes less white, then we're going to lose our values, or an ethnicity, or a nationality isn't racist against the blacks, whites, whatever. It's racist against people who are white that reject that nonsense as well, period.
So that's not true.
Next question.
That's not
What
true.
a racist question that was.
Oh, here we go. Here comes the best
quick
part.
and fun,
I seen this
lighthearted
clip.
question for you, Charlie. So I know you gave a speech
Listen to this
in
one.
Jerusalem earlier this year.
Yes, I did.
Were there any like awesome, fun dance parties that you guys had afterwards? Because I heard that Israelis are some of the best dancers in the world. I mean, if you guys don't believe me, just Google dancing Israelis. It's insane how good their dance moves are. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Israel's a beautiful country, a great country too.
It is. Anything that sucks, you picture them to suck. The question is to suck Israel's cock. They will
Thank you for being here tonight. Next question.
They'll expose them how retarded they are and how they would dodge.
Yeah, let's give it up for Rob Smith for being a veteran, right?
Thank you.
Like reserved phrase. Fucking traitors.
That's why I don't get bothered by the
traitors,
trolls. Like,
each and every
what?
one
I
of them.
got bullets whizzing by my face in Iraq, and you think like a troll is gonna shake me? I'm serious. I'm serious.
Yeah, because you got butt hurt 20 minutes ago that you took in the ass.
Yeah, I'm a little sick, so I'm sorry about my voice. But I have two quick questions, very quick. Do you believe in free speech? Absolutely.
Well, look, I believe every individual
Here we
has
go.
freedom of speech, but also part of freedom of speech is you have the freedom to associate with who you want to associate with. You can say, I want to listen to certain things, I don't want to listen to certain things, as an individual. And I believe the solution to hate speech is more speech. As we're demonstrating tonight, we literally say if you disagree, you're allowed to go to the front of the line. I think we're practicing what we preach. Well, if you disagree, then go to the front of the line. You all disagree. Well, then, fight over it. Next one.
What an
Next question.
asshole.
Thank you. You get one question.
When
Thank
everyone
you.
everyone
Thanks.
who's even like the
One
actual
question.
members of the PUSA are like,
All
yo,
right,
you're a
so
fucking
I followed
asshole.
you for a while. I've
Oh my
listened to a lot of
God.
your talks, and my question is this: given that your interpretation of traditional conservative values stems from
It's Zionist
1965
interpretation.
on immigration and 2015 on race, I'd like to know how long do we have to wait until child drag shows are pushed as American traditional conservatism?
Let me ask you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
answer that
about
question.
yo, seriously, it's pretty degenerate
I
of
get
you.
a lot of crap, and I've been getting a lot of crap from people in this room about being a gay conservative. And let me be very clear right now. No, let me. No, you're not. You're not. But okay, that's great. But let me
He
address
served in
that.
the United States military.
That-
That's what
that
you
doesn't give you a
deserve, my
defense,
friend.
How about
he
I
served in
conserve-
the military
how about I
while you're a
conserve this
coward and you go to
country?
the front of the line.
How about I
he went to
conserve this
Iraq
country,
to protect
dude?
our freedoms
How about
while
I
you
conserve
go up
this
talking
country,
about
dude?
conserving our country.
Your freedoms when I was fighting in Iraq for you. How
You
about
didn't
that?
conserve
Is that
shit.
a good- is that a
You
good
didn't
enough
conserve
answer
shit.
about what I-
This is the problem when the argument with these veterans. I'm like, you didn't conserve shit. You're a fucking lying sack of shit. Every fucking day, even in your home states, they're eroding your rights to your freedom of speech, your gun rights, your right to attorney, the right to associate. Go fuck yourself. Conservatives are a fucking joke.
I conserve. So let me be clear, because I want to address what he's saying, because I think that there's a valid point in what he's saying, even though what he's saying is crap. So there's this idea that there's a lot of crap going on in the far, I call it the LGBT alphabet soup left, that myself as a gay conservative is like pushing back on. The child drag queen stuff is garbage, okay? The drag kid stuff is garbage. Trans kids is garbage, okay? And so I get crap from the right for being a quote-unquote fake conservative, and I get crap from the left when I stand up against that stuff and say that we need to calm that stuff down because it is not doing anything for America. As a matter of fact, I think that child drag queens and I think that trans kids, quote-unquote, are destructive to the fabric of this country. I absolutely believe that. So not to address a troll, but I need to say, as a gay conservative, myself and the Ricky Rebels of the world and the Scott Pressers of the world, we're the only ones in that community that are standing up against that crap and calling it for what it is.
Are you sure?
So if
Because
you don't think that
2% of
you
the
need us in
population,
movement, these
2% of the population, 40% of pedophiles,
people on the left, the alpha.
and black gays, just being 2% of the population, 40% of AIDS cases are related to infections.
Alphabet soup is going to do a lot of crazy stuff,
And herpes.
and we need to pull them back in line, period. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Next
Thanks
question.
so much. Next
Thank
question. Thanks for being here.
Hey, my question's for Charlie.
Okay.
So, in the wake of the student debt crisis, stagnant wage growth across all education levels in all fields, liberal arts, STEM, how is regurgitating this far-left talking point of stapling green cards to diplomas America first? How is this any different than chain migration funded by taxpayers?
It's the same thing, my friend.
DOE, DOD. Those
Okay,
funds go
so,
to...
Yeah, I'm happy to elaborate on it. So I said at a speech last week that if someone graduates from a four-year college, they should have a green card stapled to their diploma. Let me elaborate on that further. I don't think it makes sense as America First to invest our tax dollars in foreign nationals that come to our own publicly funded universities and then say go back and compete against us in Korea, Japan, or Southeast Asia. Well, so you just said they're competing against us here. Well, actually, if they're employed by American companies or they're entrepreneurs, there's evidence to show that they actually embrace our American cultural identity and they come and they immerse into our country. So I'll give you a great example. So I'll give you a great example. This same sort of skepticism, the same sort of hostility was given towards Asians in the 1940s and 50s. Asians have been one of the most productive, one of the most amazing communities, least likely to commit crimes.
Yeah, Asians, but they also do vote against this country, against its racial interests, and displace us by filling us with more Chinese.
I'll nuance it even further. And a green card is not citizenship. I did not say citizenship. There's a huge difference there. But if you graduate from Stanford, MIT, Yale, and you're able to find a job that needs to be filled by an American employer,
God damn it.
then
Sorry,
yes,
folks,
I do believe you should be given
If anyone.
temporary residency to be able to fill that job. And guess what? You pay taxes. You're within the system. I'll say this. I believe in lowering the amount of legal immigrants. I believe in eliminating chain migration. I believe in ending the visa lottery, making English the official language of the United States, building the wall, enforcing our laws, and also allowing ICE to go into our inner cities to go after lawbreakers, as well as ending sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are one of the worst things that we allow to happen in our country, where lawlessness happens every single day. Thank you for your question. I appreciate you being here.
Hi, Charlie. So I saw and enjoyed your debate at Politicon with Kyle Klinsky over the weekend. And you said during the debate that the free speech police are telling people that they can no longer say certain things. Yet, as you were saying that, you had actual police prevent someone from merely watching the debate. Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
And there was no evidence that he was going to be disruptive or break the rules. But now Nick has some pretty abhorrent views that I strongly disagree with. But you say socialism is the most evil and deadly ideology.
Somebody told me that the police did something. That wasn't my event this weekend. I'm not really sure what you're talking about. I'm getting all these messages that said I kicked somebody out. What do you mean?
Well, he was so there were multiple times when he went up to, he was in a line to take a picture with you, and then he was barred from taking a picture with you, and then he was barred specifically from your event.
This man seeks the truth.
Is this the internet troll? I'm confused who you're talking about.
There's American mutts speaking the truth.
Who are you? I want to be sure that is this the internet troll that is the guy that believes in white ethno-nationalism or? Yes. Oh, okay. I just want to make sure, because there was a guy that infiltrated our booth at Politicon that security came up to us and they said, we're not allowing this guy at the event. Maybe that's what you're talking about. Because there's a guy that infiltrated our booth, and then the Politicon security, an event that I don't run, they came up to me and they said, this guy made a little disruption. But I want to clear this up, because I'm getting messages about something I'm not totally clear on.
You're such a liar.
So yeah, yeah, if you...
No, he's got a lot of fangirls in here tonight, huh?
I mean, you debate socialists, and you say socialism is the most deadly ideology. Why not, if you're saying that socialism is the most dangerous, why not debate someone like Nick and get his bad ideas out of the
Well,
the
I
culture?
think I've been debating a lot of his bad ideas here tonight quite well.
No,
so
you actually have a debate with us.
Tonight. I appreciate it.
They know they will lose against the white nationalists like ourselves.
Hello. So my name is Patrick Casey. I'm an American nationalist and America First.
Here's another
patriot.
good one. Another clip that you see floating on there.
Thanks, guys.
Go viral.
So, and despite all of that, despite my ardent support for the president and his policies, I was actually kicked out of CPAC earlier this year.
But I didn't kick you out of this event.
No, I'm not going to blame. I'm not going to blame you.
Just
I'm not
making
gonna blame,
sure.
Yeah, you're very defensive here. I get that. As was my good friend Nicholas J. Fuentes, whom I believe you were just discussing up there. But look, I'm not going to blame you for that.
I just want to make sure.
I've got a question here.
Is that the troll that keeps tweeting about me?
He's not a troll. He's a very intelligent guy who has a lot to say. He's somewhat of a troll, but
he seems to be getting a lot of you guys to say stuff for him tonight, so...
I don't debate trolls.
I think we've been debating them all night.
Yeah, he's not
right,
a troll.
so I'm just citing CPAC's decision to remove American nationalists from their conference. I'm not blaming you for that. I'm moving it into something.
I don't run
I'm
CPAC
saying,
either.
Right, and I just said that I'm not blaming you. I've said that 3 times. So, but you do run TPUSA, and TPUSA did remove its relationship with Ashley St. Clair, who all she really did was take a picture with Nick Fuentes. She was in the same room. So my question to you, Charlie, is as someone who, purports to be pro-debate, free speech, and, the exchange of ideas, do you support blackballing people based on having controversial opinions or being even
Oh,
in the
yes,
same
he
room when a
does.
photograph is
Oh,
taken
yes,
with
he
someone who has
does.
controversial opinions? And the second part of that question is, if the answer is no, will you debate me on immigration, identity, and demographics?
Well, so
He
First of all,
will never
I mean
do
this
it.
respectfully, I have no idea who you are. The other thing, that was a private matter. Ashley's a good person. We handled it privately. That's all I'm going to say about that. And finally, I just want to make a broader statement. I want to make a broader statement. My stance on Israel, I'm not going to back away on it. My stance on immigration is a mainstream
You're a Jew.
position. And I think it's really incredible because the amount of people that have been here tonight that have shown hatred towards Rob, that have been shown hatred towards his ideas is pretty incredible. And so I really don't know who you are, and the fact you're getting as upset as you are.
Hey, you guys, who likes Cardi B? Cardi B? You know she has that song,
Shout out to the
people do anything for clout. That Cardi B song, people do anything for clout.
Oh,
people
shut-
will do
no one
anything
gives
for
a fuck about
clout.
Cardi B.
Anything for the clout, boy.
Deflect.
All right,
Anything
this
for
is
the
our
clout,
last
baby.
question.
The Grape Wars. They could not handle it. They could not handle the legit questions of Israel. You know, open pushing of faggotry on our children and in our culture. That's weakening our, everything. Like, no, so we'll stay on the topic because they go into depth on this. Let's check out what
All right,
Molyneux got.
everybody. Hope you're doing well. Stefan Molyneux.
No, not Molyneux. Let's go on to the next subject. I doubt he. Oh, this Sebastian Gorka had the balls to go on Twitter and attack him. Check this shit out.
Are you there, Bobby?
Hi, Mr. Gorka. I'm a huge fan of your appearances on the Tucker Carlson show. And I just have a quick question. On one of your tweets I'm reading right here, you say that people who are pro-censorship are afraid, especially on social media. So my question to you is, Mr. Gorka, are you afraid?
Can you read that tweet to me? What's the date?
You
can't, can you?
And
you can.
I'd be happy. Well, let me ask you this: Why?
So get to the point. Why are you really calling? Why are you really calling? Who are you calling about?
Why are you pro-censoring? Well, my question is: are you afraid of the ideas of Nick Fuentes?
No, I'm disgusted by Nick Fuentes' ideas because he's an anti-Semite.
Why are you advocating for censorship when you say that when people advocate for censorship, it's for the reason that they are afraid? So, sir, are you afraid of...
No, I never said... Stop talking. I never said censor him. I said, why the hell does he have blue checkmark verified status from Jack Dorsey?
You want to deplatform his verified status...
I want him not to be recognized as a verified individual. Sorry?
That's deplatforming.
No, verified. Can you listen and can you read English? I said, how is he verified? Okay, let's listen to what your friend, the anti-Semite Nick Fuentes, posted on video.
I just want to know, Mr.
No, you stop talking now. You stop talking now. You stop talking and you listen, and then you justify for me what this man... Put him down. Listen to what Nick J. Fuentes said in a video on Twitter. Cut 8.
It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make $6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there. The math doesn't quite seem to add up there. I don't think you'd result in 6 million. Maybe 200 to 300,000 cookies. And I think the Red Cookie Association said something like that, probably 200 to 300,000 cookies.
No one's denying the Holocaust didn't happen,
probably.
bro.
And in addition, in this hypothetical, I imagine that if you took aerial photographs over the kitchens, you would need to see certain smokestacks to release the smoke from baking the cookies, and the smokestacks would project certain shadows but I guess they're not visible in the aerial photographs taken over the kitchens. Moreover, if you look at the soil texture, it's really not deep enough for mass cookie storage underground. And so there's a lot of things. In the cookie kitchen, they say that the ovens are wooden and they have windows on them and they're not totally secure. And the ovens that they use, they actually did sort of an ad hoc use of that particular kind of oven, even though they made a perfectly good design for ovens for a different purpose, for delousing. I mean, for something else. So none of it really adds up. I don't know. It just kind of doesn't really make sense, this crazy cookie analogy.
So let's go back to our caller. I'm going to ask you a question now. That was Nick J. Fuentes using a cookie analogy that he called an analogy, saying it was impossible that 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. I find that reprehensible and disgusting, and that's why I think he shouldn't have a blue check on Twitter. Do you defend his denial of the Holocaust?
Absolutely. Denying the Holocaust...
Okay, drop him. He's a racist and an anti-Semite. I am disgusted. I saw this video from Nick Fuentes just before coming on the show, and the responses to my tweet asking, how is this person a verified Twitter user with a blue check mark? The responses, I knew anti-Semitism is real. I realized Europe has a real problem with it because I saw it when I lived there. But the tweets I have seen today of Americans supporting Nick J. Fuentes
absolutely.
In his anti-Semitic denial of the Holocaust are chilling. They have disturbed me, single Holocaust denier. Now we count to 10. And we get back on track. Because we have 370 days left. A year and 5 days to make sure that the extremists, the racists, the anti-Semites that have been welcomed by the Democrat Party and by some on the right must not win the next election. Let's talk to Mark in New York, line 2. Mark, welcome to America First.
Hi, how are you doing today, sir?
Good.
So in 2016, a lot of youth voted for Trump. I think a big reason for that was they had legitimate questions that if they asked, they would be called racist or censored by their professors on college campuses. Are you worried that you might push them back to the left or push them away from Trump if you keep encouraging, not even engaging with people like Nick Fuentes?
Not if these people's questions are, did the Holocaust happen? No, those people have no place in decent society.
So even if they voted for Trump, you're not worried about pushing them
No,
away?
I'm not a blind loyalist. I'm not a cult member.
I didn't mean...
If people are over the age of 18 and believe the Holocaust didn't happen, they are irredeemable. They have no function.
They should be censored.
Did I say that? Did I say that?
No, I'm asking. I'm asking.
I believe in the First Amendment, but these people should be recognized as reprehensible.
I just want to clarify, though, on your tweet, you said he's still on Twitter.
And verified. The issue is that Jack Dorsey... Okay, buddy, do you believe the Holocaust happened? Do you believe the Holocaust happened?
Answer my question. I'll be happy
No,
to
I've answered 3 questions already. You answer mine. You answer my question. Do you believe the Holocaust happened? Do you believe the Holocaust happened? You don't, do you? You're an anti-Semite. Drop him.
Wow.
Jack in St. Louis, line 5. Jack, welcome to America First.
Shout out to the Groypers and Nick Fuentes. Watch America First.
Oh, drop the guy. Let's go to Alex in Florida, line 4. Alex, welcome to America First.
Dr. Gorka, thank you for having me on. First of all, I want to thank you for bringing up the Armenian genocide today, since my ancestors did suffer by the hands of the Ottomans.
You're welcome. Go ahead. Why did you call? We've only got a minute and a half. Go ahead, please.
I'll be quick then. We need to fight these people, these Nick Fuentes types, but we shouldn't give up the censorship. I have 3 tweets from you. They can't beat you politically, so they try and censor us. They only censor you if they're worried. This is the left. Can't defeat our arguments. Just censor and ban us. Sound familiar? I agree wholeheartedly, but how do we fight these people? How do we fight their ideas without having to resort to that?
Great question. Right. We believe in the First Amendment. We believe in the God-given rights that were enshrined in our founding documents here in the United States. Remember, there is no other nation on God's earth that has a First Amendment constitutional right. We forget that. Not in the UK, not in France, not in Germany, it doesn't exist. But when people do things as reprehensible and as dangerous as deny either the death camps of Hitler, deny the Holocaust, deny the labor camps, the death camps of the Soviet Union, the Gulag, what we do is we stand up to their lies. It's like cockroaches. You blast them with the truth, with the sunlight, with the rays of truth, until they are no longer recognized as suitable for functioning in polite society. These people should be hiding their heads in shame. Nick J. Fuentes is a disgusting example of what you can do in a free nation like America. You have First Amendment rights, we have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean that we have to respect your views. You can say them, but I am going to challenge them every single time I hear them.
No, you won't. That's the hypocrisy of Gorka. You know.
Now, before we get into the Charlie Kirk clips that are going to be quite fun, I can guarantee you that, I want to point you to American Greatness. This article, entitled Can Libertarians Be Honest About Immigration and Assimilation, covered me quite positively and extensively. This article was actually about the previous critique that I did of a Charlie Kirk response to a question that was posed to him that was actually quite legitimate about immigration and the 1 to 2 million immigrants coming in here legally annually, and if that's a sustainable number, and what that looks like for Republicans demographically and electorally into the future. Of course, this goes on to say that I point out that Charlie Kirk basically dodged this question altogether and actually called the question wonky. It's important to note the very following day, the next day after that, he said something entirely different. So I'm not exactly sure how that works out. Also, as you know, this entire channel has been demonetized, so if you check
on the daily political spectrum. Just go to this thread. Zoomers were burned to the ground. I would just agree with the title I had alone, because they're very nihilistic. Not as hedonistic as my generation, as I'm a millennial. So, seem to be more, aware of race. Generally how the world works compared to my generation, especially the different calls all of this. Totally into their own shit that they can't see it. So, download this. Actually, here's some screeching in my headset. So let's go with Adam here. Screen for you guys? I can't wait till the Zoomers burn this country to the ground. There's absolutely no chance that the majority of them will integrate into society, find well-paid jobs, etc. Once they finally see how sick society is, they will snap. As a millennial, when I realized what was going on, it was a bad shock. At least I could reflect on my childhood of growing up in the first computer revolution, the birth of the video game, cell phones, etc. I saw amazing things, and it's still with my generation. For the most part, I have faith in society. Even now, I find myself hopeful that it will all work out. Even though it won't, I want it to go and be incredibly optimistic. Oh, no, sorry. I want to go back to the good old days where amazing things were happening all the time, and things were improving, and there was a spirit of incredible optimism. Zoomers didn't have any of that. They take the technology that that's involved for granted. They don't appreciate anything. Because they didn't see how exciting it was for people to get the technology for the first time. It's free, doesn't mean as much as them. I know They all know him as PK, and I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for everyone else. Zoomers will be the most psychotic generation, totally detached from reality. Boomers will play by them, and they will feel the Zoomer. And Zoomers are pretty liberal generation. Like, this is also a problem. Like, yeah, they're somewhat base, they're also liberal as shit. They're cooked out of a lot of issues. So it's gonna be increased high immigration from here this day forward. The 17-year-old Schumer. Shut the fucking boomer. It's by Aaron Sponson's content as Jewish masters wants. Blames boomers for everything except the Jew. Secretly jailish of boomer grandparents. Vapes. Doesn't realize attacking boomers attacking the last majority white conservative population alive. This is some nigger music. Please would be a YouTuber millionaire someday. These are bigger Zog popular than boomers. Only hobby is Fortnite and Minecraft. Tends to be right-wing and it actually feels entitled to the same lifestyle as the boomer grandparents are actually working for it. Zoomers are the most liberal generation in this history. They grew up with social media, diversity, believe in homosexuals are normal. Millennials had an advantage of knowing pre-world internet and iPhone. Zoomers will not save anything. Oh, I humbly agree to an extent. That's what actually working for it. Zoomers are the most liberal generation. They grew up with social media, diversity, believe in Millennials had an advantage of knowing pre-world internet. Just mixing the sound. Hopefully that will give you an interesting background. Like it's ironic because I have a Zoomer that I work with at my job, and we had an interesting take of one of our coworkers and their sexual history, for example. I was having a very interesting conversation with her. Sorry, they're just hearing the feedback loop. And I was having a very interesting conversation with her and a couple of coworkers about her sexual issues. They just randomly brought it up with her. Like, joking around, like, haha, 83 bodies, you know, and she's like 24, 25. I'm just sitting there and discussing. I'm huffing my cigarette. And she's continuing on. They're like, my coworkers were like, well, how many, you know, like, this year? Like, maybe 3. And you gotta take for you gotta if you can imagine this chick, she's the ugliest concrete ape you ever seen, and somehow there's dudes on Tinder plowing this bitch. Yes.
Mic off. Mic on.
Sorry, family and shit. But I'm just sitting there listening to this crap from this bitch's mouth and just looking at her like anyone would spend the time. This is how it evolved this side. So, you know, talk about how she slept with one of the two people in this relationship there. She like fucked a couple recently and crap. It was really disgusting. And then flash forward, me and my coworker, because they, you know, it's a slow night, and then my coworker heard it, and he's just absolutely disgusted. He's somewhat based on some aspects, but he still is like too tolerant and shit. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you should sleep with as many people as you want. Like that's not gonna bug me. I don't know when I go out on a date with a woman. But I'm like, really, you're gonna be down with like, you know, a chick sleeping with 300 women, like 300 men, and women maybe, because you know most women are bisexual these days. And he was like, yeah, it doesn't affect me. And you can see this kid, you can kind of tell he's literally what the meme of what the Zoomer looks like. The thick rimmed glasses, the terrible hairstyle, frail, has that gesture and that mannerism, also incredibly detached and not materialistic at all. And it's just like, oh. I'm like, I know this guy's girlfriend, which is, you know, surprising for what his beliefs. Don't get wrong, not everyone, you know, that, again, this is like the generation of society. And, it was truly disgusting, the conversation. The fact he was so tolerant, and with the fact that his female could be like, he's like, oh, I know people who have, like, well into that body count. Well into that body count, man, I'm telling you. And, you know, they're in, like, relationships. I'm like, how long has their relationship been so far? Oh, like, 3 years. 3 years of telling you. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm like, they're not lasting how long. Women with that many partners usually don't have stable relationships, and they usually divorce. Just look at the reports. The data's out there. There's memes made about it. I don't even fucking repost this shit on this stream right now tonight. And the fact that these Zoom, like, the fact that's like, yeah, they're somewhat pretty base, but they're so stupid lenient on the problems that currently are causing society to collapse, and it's not helping anybody. Like, legit not helping anybody at all. It's degrading our people even worse. They're having children later, and then pretty much like rapidly breeding these whores. Like the example of this chick I'm telling, this ugly pavement ape. And so it just rubs me the wrong way to hear this shit being talked about openly, like it's phrased. And I'm like, even with my male coworker and the female coworker is a complete whore. I'm surprised I don't have ST rates or like HPV, AIDS, or anything fucking crazy. And in fact, I can't imagine what my boy, this kid, I'm really good friends with him, don't get me wrong, he's a good Zoomer. But his girlfriend must cheat on him like no to fucking tomorrow. Like, it's insane. Like, what these Zoomers will tolerate and not tolerate in the same breath. Like, they're all, like, you know, they're pro-gun, pro-free speech and everything. But when it comes to, like, you know, sexual revolution, the gays, homosexuals, non-whites being introduced in the country, they still are pro, you know, still pro all of that. But gun rights are, they're okay for free speech, you know, freedom of association, like, sports contradicting, like, ideologies. It's not really, you know, going anywhere, and they can't seem to figure out why everything's getting progressively worse on their end, and especially the youngest generation coming into this fucking horrific time in American history and the history of the West in general. It's looking bleak. Half the Zoomer generation is non-white. And an example, the kid I'm was just talking about, that was on the conversation with the people at Cover, are on their, like, definition of Zoomer. I mean, it's like, oh my god. And, it's very disconcerting, but also helpful, because, like, they're very against, you know, at least with this particular person I work with, he's against somewhat mass immigration from non-white countries, because he's starting to gain hatred for certain groups, because as, you know, especially at work and in public where you have to deal with a lot of people and social interacting with different ethnicities and cultures besides your own, and are clearly living in a really multiracial neighborhood as we do, you start seeing some noticeable trends, and it starts to drive you up the fucking wall. Like, you truly understand, like, yeah, they're separate people. I know I keep just like ranting. It's a late night Sunday stream. We're just ranting, you know, letting off steam tonight. What's in our minds, etc. I'm gonna take a quick break. Need some drink. Be back and listen to these tunes for a moment. Sorry for the screen adjustments and everything. I'm back. Got myself a drink. Got my faithful feline right over here. Meowing, if you can hear in the distance. Just checking it out. Well, not in the distance below me. Yeah. She's a good cat. And back onto like politics. So like back to the previous conversation. So my coworker always brings up like, you know, they all know I'm very political. They don't know my my honest political opinions. I give like a normie, somewhat libertarian viewpoint, so they they don't get too startled. But like, I'll say radical shit to them. I'm like, oh, that's absolutely wrong, and then this is why you're retarded for even believing that. For example, my interaction with the Daily People out, especially one of my black coworkers saying white people are not a race. So I'm like, well, then therefore I can't be racist towards you because I'm not a race. I can only be prejudiced. I can never be racist towards you. And two, you know, you can't then also suddenly claim yourself African, then you're not a race either. So no one can be actually racist. You know, the whole logic of changing, you know, what words mean and what can and what's not a race, etc. You just sound like a blabbling idiot. Well, you know, that level at 90 IQ, even the highest educated black is still like a 90 IQ. He doesn't actually. They lower the test scores enough. They don't actually give you the right test scores. They give you inflated, so they can make it, you know, seem like, you know, oh, they're really good, but they can't get jobs in those fields that they have degrees for, let alone basic, you know, retail jobs, fast food chains, etc. And you know, it's like stupid normie interactions with non-whites and whites in general. Like my other coworker, who's somewhat libertarian, that this guy was just talking about before now was, you know, I'm tired. Clinton, of course, he's a fucking, you know, a night walker himself. You'd be surprised how some of the dumb comments, even from some like a boomer tier centers. He's like, I don't even want to get into boomer. So you know, some of the boomer shit is so fucking stupid. I don't even have to. It's that fuck cats. This is what happens when you have, you know, family bringing cats over and now they're coming as your pets. This, like, what's happened in America when this toxification of our culture and sexual degeneracy, mass immigration, an open infiltration of Zionists in our government, local, state, governments, media, online. It's our school system. It's so mind-boggling, and it's so backpedaling. Like, a lot of people think there's not a lot of people out there with the same similar views on them, and they think they're powerless. We need to spread the message, just like here with Nick Fuentes, Red Elephants, even your shots at TRS Boys, The Right Stuff Is, all of them on that network. What else can I say about the subject? Because, you know, you just look outside your own fucking window, you got fucking niggas sitting on the back of the corner, fucking smoking crack and acting generally weirdly creeping around your cars and, you know, your neighbors and shit. They're not even from a local neighborhood, they're from a couple streets over. And they're looking to fucking rob, steal, and cheat and whatever, and, you know, clearly suspicious, and they're clearly not normal, you know, shades of darkness variants that, you know, the average American gets depicted on TV. This is the general, like, thug-looking things. And, it's truly sickening what you see outside of our, you know, our regular lives. You know, shades of darkness variants that, you know, the average American gets depicted on. Good at just testing the audio, make sure that it's still coming up properly. Hopefully you can hear the music in the background. Occasionally I don't know how to turn off anything that's not part of the, you know, the disc stream, but I'm learning. And it's really disheartening to see in your own country, your people itself, whites as a group, not just that they, you know, the various ethnicities of European that they, you know, make up. You know, there's some pure breeds and there's mixed European heritage. It doesn't mean you're mixed or a mutt. That's a, you know, wrong analogy. But especially in the Zoomer generation, how some are so black belt, some are very aware. They, you know, they're generally, you know, a little worried. You know, they usually have to have someone else verified. I have several situations on that, like the younger generation of Zoomers I know. They're definitely not millennial. And, well, actually, some of them are younger millennials, some are Zoomer, and they're somewhat aware of it. They just don't want to admit some things, and, like, some are very open about it. And, you know, it's mixed across the board. But the general consensus of most whites are, like, especially the younger, very, you know, seems to be here on the local level. I'm not going to tell you my exact location, obviously. But, seems to be what, like, center-right or far-right? Not even far-right, just right-wing in general, not even conservative. There's, like, they're moving around, there's a lot of boomer-tier neocons. They're basically liberals, they're just too fucking retarded to see. You know, their ideology's fucking cancer, and it's killing the Zen. You know, my millennial generation's fucked. It's now the Zoomers. They're the next one. Stuff. They're gonna hopefully be relying on them to increase the birth rate. So they don't need to be able to double up, keep its country, and to be able to function in the way it currently is. It's starting to retire, it seems. You know, like they're like, oh yeah, there's tons of jobs, economies. Yeah, most of those jobs that Trump put in are for the minorities. Like the majority didn't get them. And it's not necessarily a good thing. And I'll agree with the song title here. Patience has its limits. See, in general, like I said, like the general opinion around here is somewhere. Well, all right, I'll give you at least the state where I'm in. I'm in New York. In general vibe, especially amongst whites, I notice it's so like a little more hostile towards non-whites. They're generally not, you know. I get passing comments where I work, like, you know, when you got all these fucking, what do I do about these all these fucking, you know, dicks and niggas that we're dealing with. Like that, I'm just quoting when people say I'm not actually doing, you know, don't ban me YouTube, not just yet, I'm very young, I'm not a threat. But, you just hear and see the Discord. Hey, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place, this is my first time trying to join a normal live stream that's not just, you know, several, you know, recording off someone else's live stream and making comments on it. I'm trying to give my general opinion. And, it's very, very true. There seems to be a general shift in the viewpoints, even with Trump's and the anti-Trump. Like Clinton does. Like, seeing my coworkers that fucking Clinton, he's starting to sometimes fall off and the whole idea of illegals. They don't like, most people don't, the majority of people don't want illegals flooding this country. But they're also going up to believe, you know, oh, we're gonna make it easier to come here. It's basically just be legalized mass immigration legally. They're just gonna be able to walk across the board without taking test verifications. It'll be just legalized. They're just playing the game with you. And like, specifically where I live, it's majority Hispanic. There's actually not a lot of black around if you think about it, even in large concentrations anymore. Because these, you know, generally black flight, like a lot of the Hispanics pushed out the blacks, and the base of most of the black people replaced with Hispanic. There's still a ton of people out, like in New York. There's places like Wine Dance, like parts of Corona, Mastic are really bad, you know. But generally, you don't see much out of those neighborhoods. You see the complaint, everyone's not happy. The only ones, I guess, like white women are not really protesting because they will, you know, women in general are not really loyal to the concept of nation, race, let alone their own men, but, you know, they really don't give a fuck, so try to convince them otherwise. You could ask all the general males, and they're really not happy with these, you know. Non-whites is clear what they are. They're not related. And, it's just really disturbing to see what you have in your own neighborhood, let alone in your state. Like, it's so bad at some points, like, right down the road from where I live. It's, you know, but close to where my friend, he lives in by the back section. There's no drug dealer house like by his house. You kind of gotta watch yourself. You know, with the game. You know, I think MS-13 or Latin King's one of them. I'm not giving out specific locations just in case, you know, anyone comes across this from the local area. Like, yeah, I know where this nigga is. And it's generally concerning. Oh wait, let me go back. But sorry about that. And you know, I'm sorry, like everything's all over the place. I'm sure it's really hard becoming a YouTuber, and I'm just doing this out of sheer boredom. You know, I'm doing nothing on a Sunday night, so might as well. It's a Sunday night stream. And I just don't want to, you know, make it this like the United States you know, paying for healthcare for you know, civilians here. Like, your taxpayer dollar here in New York is going to be already retarded high taxes. They have, you pay for the illegals here. So California, New York, the next biggest state with the huge illegal population is like Texas, South, definitely California for sure. But oh my God! On top of that, while denying 9/11 healthcare, but people, survivors with their healthcare, or no, I'm sorry, not healthcare. They were going to give them pay off college tuition of their choosing at select colleges. Instead of giving them that, they gave that to the elite. So basically, even if you're like non-white American born here, do the right thing, man, to Texas, you're not even getting entitlements with your own government, what you voted for to give. They're literally handing you a non-citizen because that's their job, that's their intent, and just destroy and strip your country of resources. It's like I'll agree with like Rand Paul. Like I don't remember if Rand Paul and other YouTubers talked about it, but it's like reverse colonization or colonization before they come in. There's actually completely replace the population and go in, suck at the resources they can before it dries up, and then ditch out. But like honestly, unlike the whites just dip go back to their home country. I think they're gonna be here permanently, and they're gonna be really unstable. And it's mind-boggling. How many illegals in this? Like I get in debates with my friends all the time about this. I'm like, I guarantee the legal population is based on my area's population numbers. Easily can be up to like 500,000. Maybe even more, almost 2, like max, maybe. You'd be surprised how many of these people don't actually speak legal English. Like, there's a heavy Hispanic population here where I am. You just go a couple blocks down the road, it's like, it's little Guatemala, little Mexico everywhere. Like, yeah, don't get it wrong, yeah. Yeah, they go to church, but like, completely degenerate. They're changing their country's demographics. They're allowing this fucking insanity of the far left and the social justice warriors while embracing their own racial agenda and trying to have us simultaneously be placed in their own political agenda against this country. The Reconquista. Most of them do have that mentality. And fix my mic a little bit because I just don't want to wear the headset the whole entire time. And I just don't know. I generally don't know. And it's quite disturbing. And you know what? I'm gonna have a little brief break. Just listen out to the music for a moment. As you can see, this is what I'm operating with. I'm still trying to learn how to use this. I'm gonna have a quick break with a cigarette, and I'll try to focus and get another subject going on. I'm gonna be on the stream for a while. It's not much going on tonight, and might as well do something. Most of the YouTubers are usually asleep by now. So, be right back. live stream. It's not really going too well. Well, not so good. Well, I just stuff. I'll probably live stream now. We'll see. I'm cutting the live stream short.